Before I take you through the 5 keyboards that I got before I settled on the one that I'm going to keep, one thing to keep in mind is that getting a better, more expensive keyboard does not make you a better typer or a better programmer, but for me it definitely makes the experience better, and I definitely think it's worth it. The first keyboard that I tried was the KEYCHRON K8 with Gateron brown switches. Some things that I did like about this keyboard are that it is Bluetooth, and it was my first mechanical keyboard I tried in a while, so it felt really nice. Some things I didn't like: the front of the keyboard is extremely high, and I didn't have a wrist rest at the time, so it was pretty uncomfortable. For me, the overall look of the keyboard wasn't super great. My second keyboard was the Cooler Master MK730, and I actually really like this keyboard because of the wrist rest and the switches, but I didn't like the gamified look of it, which really was my main problem with it. Now for a pretty big price hike, this is the Drop Control with Halo Clear switches. I actually really like this keyboard, except for the fact that the Halo Clears were much heavier than I was expecting. I did know that it was going to be a heavier switch, but I wanted to try it out, and I learned immediately that they are not for me. I prefer much lighter switches like the Cherry or Gateron Browns, so I actually immediately returned this one and bought one with Cherry Browns, which is the exact same keyboard. But we'll give you a sound test. But the RGB looks so cool, and this board is hot swappable, and I really like that. So the 2 boards I got after this are also hot swappable, and here's just a close-up of the switches themselves. The 4th keyboard that I got, you'll note, is exactly the same as the 3rd, except that it has Cherry MX brown switches instead of Halo Clears, so the actuation force is much lighter. And I really like this. I'm really picky about my keyboards though, so a few things I realized over time. The stabilizers felt extremely cheap, and they sounded, for lack of finesse, really crappy. Some things I also didn't like: the keyboard was really expensive. I was willing to pay a lot for a really good keyboard. I just felt that this price wasn't warranted by the quality that I was feeling, or lack thereof, in some parts of the keyboard, which is why I ultimately decided to get one more keyboard, which I absolutely fell in love with. Again, this keyboard looks fantastic. I love the side RGB and the lights underneath the keys, and just the build quality of the keyboard is super high, but the price wasn't warranted for me due to a few of the shortcomings. The 5th and final keyboard that I purchased, aka the one that I'm keeping and using now, is the Womier / Gamakay. I'm not really sure what's up with the name K87, so it's a 10 keyless, which is, if you can't already tell, my favorite keyboard size. Things I really like about this one: the RGB is incredible, the housing is made of acrylic, so the light shines through really well. Additionally, this has Gateron brown switches, which I have decided are my favorite switch as of now. Additionally, this keyboard is hot swappable, and I planned to mod it, and I did mod it, so you'll see in a later video how I did that. And lastly, the price was very reasonable. In fact, I think the quality of this is pretty much on par with the Drop Control, which costs about 3 times as much, and it sounds so much better and feels so much better after I modded it. So unfortunately, when I tried to do a sound recording for the original stabilizers, the audio got corrupted, but that's pretty much the journey of how I tried 5 keyboards and found the one that I really liked. And if you want to see how I transform this keyboard into this keyboard, make sure to stay tuned for my next video. Thanks for watching, guys.